Hey guys, Tara here from Recovering Book Hoarder, and today is my February 2021 wrap-up. This was an excellent reading month for me. I did participate in Historathon, and that went very well. I read a grand total of 19 books. I DNFed 2. Finished 19. 2 were DNFed. 2. On top of that, 19 I DNFed 2. If that makes sense. So let's just go ahead and get the 2 I DNF'd out of the way. That is Misery by Stephen King. Stephen King is just not for me. That's all I can say. I have tried several of his books now. I have not liked any of them. So breaking up with Stephen King officially. Right, then I also DNF'd Poems on Various Subjects, Religious and Moral by Phyllis Wheatley. And I have a hard time with this because knowing what I know of slavery, I can't imagine that her writing wasn't coerced in some way. I don't know how to best describe it. Like, she seems like she's in love with the King of England and has flowery feelings for her slave master. And I just don't find that believable. So they feel coerced. And then the writing, a lot of it was like almost like biblical retellings and poetry. And I got through, I think, the first 12 poems. There was a total of 49. And I just couldn't do it anymore. So that was the end. Okay, let's go ahead and do my Historathon wrap up first. So I'm going to put my little bingo board right here. And you will see I got 3 bingos. I was going for a coverall, but I did not manage to read 2 of those books. So the 2 books that have been on my Historathon TBR that I did not read were Love and Ruin by Paul McLean and The Snow Child by Ewan Ivey. So these are just going to go back on my shelves for now. The books that I did read, I did finish the group read. Well, first let me say, most of these Historathon books I'm not going to get into. I'm just going to tell you what the prompt they were for and how many star ratings they had, because I did 2 dedicated reading vlogs for week 1 and week 2 of Historathon where I talked about these in depth. So the first one was the group read, and that was The Yellow Bird Sings by Jennifer Rosner. This I gave 4 stars, and yeah, no prompt because it was the group read. Right, then I read The Dollhouse by Fiona Davis. This I gave 4 stars, and this was to fulfill the prompt of read a book about a place you have been. The Yellow Wife by Sadika Johnson. This was a 5-star read, and this was to fulfill the prompt book by a diverse author. Stella Bain by Anita Shreve. I gave this one 4 stars, and this was to fulfill the prompt, a book with a name in the title. The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. This was a 5-star read, and this was to fulfill the prompt of no people on the cover. Okay, the last 2 I did not vlog about, so I'll give a little bit more information. So Wolf by Wolf by Ryan Groudon. This was to fulfill the prompt of historical fiction subgenre, and the subgenre for this was alternate history. And this is takes place in like an alternate Europe and Asia. And this is what if Hitler had won the war. There is a motorcycle competition, and there is magical realism in here that I think that was the part that lost me. It was not fully explained, really. I didn't understand why what was happening to the main character. She was almost like, could shift within her skin, but I don't understand how she could do that. I'm okay with suspension of belief, but it still has to make sense within the story that's being told. And I just did not find it believable. This was a 2-star read for me. This was so disappointing because I wanted to love this so much. So this was a letdown. All right, then the last one that I read for Historathon was The Charm Bracelet by Viola Shipman, and this was to fulfill the prompt of a multi-generational read. And this is dual timelines. The concept is that the one main character, there's this charm bracelet that is the charm bracelet is a generational thing, and it goes back to her I can't remember if it goes back to her great-grandmother or her grandmother, and then it goes forward to her granddaughter. And this book it's separated into parts, and each part is based on a different charm from the grandmother's charm bracelet. And it was beautiful. I really, really enjoyed it. It was 4 stars. I ended up listening to this one, and I thought it was really good on audio too, so I would recommend that as well. All right, so those were my Historathon reads. Now, for everything else that I read in the month of February. There's a lot. All right, the first is A Place to Land by Kate Matong, I think is how you pronounce it. And this is a Christian nonfiction. It is a memoir, and it is about, she had immigrated to South Africa, and her mother, who still lives in the United States, is diagnosed with cancer and ends up dying from cancer. And this is her story, the daughter's story. And it's a beautiful book. I enjoyed it a lot. This was a 4-star read. Okay, then I read Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas, and I was so excited to read this because I absolutely adore The Hate U Give, and my favorite character in The Hate U Give is Maverick. And this is a prequel to The Hate U Give, and it's Maverick's story. And I loved it. This was a 5-star read. It actually takes place in, I think it's 1997. I want to say it's 97 or 98, and I graduated in 1999, so this had so much nostalgia in it for me, and it was so fun. I just love Maverick so much, and I love him even more after reading his story. So yeah, definite 5-star. All right, then I had my 5-star prediction for the month, and that was Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I'm not going to tell you my star rating, and I'm not going to really say much about it because I'm going to talk about it whenever I do my 5-star wrap up. All right, then I read for Krista's book club over on Patreon, Krista from Books and Jams. The group read was From Scratch by Tim B. Locke. I actually listened to this on audio. It is narrated by the author, and this is a memoir about her meeting her husband. Her husband ends up dying of cancer, and it is the story of how they meet and then her life after that. And it's also a love story to Sicily as well, which is where he is from. I ended up giving this 3 stars. It was okay. I expected it to be more about food than it was. And I don't know, something that just didn't connect for me in this. My favorite relationship, though, was between the author and her mother-in-law, who was in Sicily. I really, really loved that relationship. And I really loved the character of her mother-in-law also. So I'd say that's my favorite part about the book. It was okay. It was fine. Didn't love it. Then I read Wildflowers from Winter by Katie Ganshirt, and this was my pick for a book club that I run with my friend Ruth. and I love Katie Ganshirt. This is the first in a duology. This was 5 stars for me. It is about a woman who is an architect and living in, where does she live? I want to say she lives in Chicago, but I read another book with the character in Chicago, so I could be wrong. She lives in a city, let's put it that way. And she gets a phone call one day from her mom that her former best friend's husband has died tragically. And she needs to go back home. She feels pulled to go back home. She hates where she is from. She had a really, really negative experience in the church that she grew up in. It's a love story between her and this guy, but there's also like love story between 2 friends also, you know, and how friends that we have had since childhood, how that friendship looks so much different than other relationships in your life. I loved it. As soon as I finished it, I immediately ordered the second one in the duology. All right, then I did a out loud read with my daughter. And that was the Babysitters Club, Babysitters on Board Super Special #1, The Babysitters Club by Anne M. Martin. And she absolutely loved this book. Whenever we read books together, I let her give the rating, and she did rate this one as 5 stars. She wants to read the rest so bad, and they are just not easy to find. They are really expensive on Amazon because they're out of print. So I'm trying to find them. This was the only one I had. I had lucked out and found this one somewhere. I had read this back whenever I was younger. I loved the super specials. It was still so much fun. We really enjoyed reading it together. And she keeps telling me, I want the rest of the super specials. I'm like, maybe they'll put them out in reprints because they are coming back out with the Babysitters Club again. So I don't know. We need the rest. All right. Then I read Love Letters to the Dead by Ava Delaira. This was a 3-star book. This is a young adult book about a girl whose sister dies and she blames herself. She's given an assignment in English class to write a letter to someone who has died. And she ends up taking that and running with it and writes like an entire notebook full of letters to people like Kurt Cobain, Janis Joplin, Judy Garland, just a whole host of famous dead people. This was good. It was good, but there is like trigger warnings for everything in here. So trigger warnings for suicide, sexual abuse, drug use, alcoholism, just all kinds of trigger warnings. Trigger warnings, trigger warnings, trigger warnings. It was good. It was good. I liked it. I ended up listening to it. It was good on audio. But yeah, I mean, it was a 3-star rate. It was fine. But please be aware of the trigger warnings before you go into this, because I didn't know about them. I didn't expect them. And just be aware. All right, then I read I'm Not Dying With You Tonight by Siegel and Kimberly Jones. I actually ended up listening to this also. Really a short listen. And this is about 2 girls that are at a high school football game and a riot breaks out. And they're trying to get home. They're trying to get to safety. This is told by one Black author and one white author, so it is like own voices also. And it was okay. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. It was good. I think this is definitely a really good read for young adults. All right, then I read The Mermaid by Christina Henry. This was my second Christina Henry book. I read Alice, I think it was the one that was, right? Yeah, Alice. And I did not love that one, which, like, I'm usually a big fan of all things Alice, but that one was really, like, I classify it much more as gory horror than what I had thought it was going to be. This one was, okay, this was a 3-star read. This is the story of a real-life mermaid who comes to the attention of PJ Barnum. PT, not PJ. PT Barnum. And he seeks her out to come and be in her show. Yeah. And it was okay. It was fine. It was 3 stars. It was okay. So I'm not breaking up with Christina Henry yet. If I had hated this one, I was going to break up with her and I wasn't going to read anymore. But I think I would still be open to trying another one. This was a buddy read with Chrissy over at Chrissy's Soul, and she said that The Lost Boys was better than this. So I think I would still like to read The Lost Boys and see what I think of that. All right, then I read Plan B by Pete Wilson, and this is all about when your very carefully crafted and laid out plans do not go as you expect. This is a Christian perspective, and I really appreciated this book because it looks at the really hard things that happen in life, and he is okay with saying, I don't know why. Like, I don't know why God lets those things happen. And I think too often as Christians, we're very quick to put like a flowery twist on bad things that happen in people's life. And he doesn't do that. And I appreciate that. And I found this book very helpful, very pertinent. I gave this one 4 stars. And then I read Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man by Emmanuel Echo. And this, I just love Emmanuel Echo. He has a YouTube channel where he sits down with famous people and their families and answers the questions that they have about race, racism, being Black and living in America. And I was so excited whenever I found out he was coming out with the book. I feel that this book is a perfect starting place for people who are interested in racism in the United States and just don't understand it yet. Don't understand how there's still racism going on in 2021, or may think that racism doesn't exist in 2021. Start with this book. This is fabulous. And I love him so much. I just found out that he's going to be hosting the behind, I think it's called the Behind the Final Rose of the Bachelor, which I did not watch The Bachelor, but I love Emmanuel Echo, so I might actually still watch the Behind the Final Rose thing just because he's hosting it. Okay, and then we finished out the month with another 5-star read, and that was You'll Never Believe What Happened to Lacey by Amber Ruffin and Lacey Lamar. This is Crazy Stories About Racism. This book was exactly what I was looking for. You learn things from this book while laughing and shaking your head and going, are you kidding me? Like, these are true stories about Lacey, who's Amber's older sister, about real life racist incidents that she has had. And it's like a daily thing. A lot of like what happens on the job, and it's, you like laugh, but at the same time are going, you have got to be kidding me. It truly is like, you'll never believe what happened to Lacey. Like, it's unreal. And then there's some stories in there too from things that have happened to Amber as well. And I adored this. I would absolutely read another book by them if they put it out, or by Amber if she puts it out. And it was a perfect way to bring Black History Month to a close. All right, guys, that is everything I read in this crazy month of February. Short month, and I read a lot. Did you guys read any of these? If so, I would love to hear what you have to say down in the comments. Come talk to me. Let's discuss. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. All right, guys, I'll see you later.